Welcome to Fantasy and Enchantment, where I describe fantasy books to my husband and see if he's enchanted. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Justin.
We are back with part 2 of Daughter of No Worlds.
Gonna finish it.
I'm gonna finish it. You're probably gonna need a recap.
Definitely gonna need a recap because it's been, what, a week? I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, though, we should probably do the content warnings.
Okay. I think they know at this point. If they're listening to part 2 of this episode, they know. Nobody's jumping in at part 2. This isn't the first time you're listening to us.
I'm just saying.
You know I'm gonna curse.
I would
You know
rather.
she's gonna tell you what's gonna happen in the book. You know I'm gonna ruin it.
I am trying to be proactive and give everybody plenty of heads up in case they just happen to stumble on it. Justin's gonna say fuck. I'm probably gonna say fuck. We're gonna ruin the series for you.
I'm probably gonna say cunt too, because I say cunt a lot. We say cunt in this house.
Yeah, we do. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Feels weird to not do the cover and the description and everything.
Yeah. In fairness, I probably don't remember the cover.
Let me know if I should grab it from the bookshelf.
Wow. Oh wait, this is the one with the girl in the dress, right?
Yeah, with the sword.
Okay, I remember the cover.
Okay.
Bitches in dresses.
Sure. That's the title of the book.
Bitches in dresses. That's the new title. We're gonna change the podcast, the whole thing.
No,
we're
not
gonna
the podcast.
Well, no, we're gonna change the title of the podcast to Bitches in Dresses Part 2.
Okay.
Who wrote this book?
Carissa Broadbent.
Okay, I know she's listening. So we're gonna need you
It'd
to
be great
rename.
because she's actually one of my favorite authors.
We're gonna need you to rename this "Bitches in Dresses." I'm sure if she is listening, she is horrified by my take on what is no doubt a story she spent an awful lot of time cultivating and writing. So you're welcome for my remedial take on your lovely story that I've crapped all over.
The fun thing is, I might actually go see her at a book signing event.
Oh,
in a few
she's
weeks.
the one you're gonna go see?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Tell her to listen to this podcast. And retroactively, I'm saying hello. And Sarah apologizes for being married to me.
Sarah
and
does
my-
apologize.
And my horrible takes
Yes.
on your story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do the recap.
Let's do it.
So Tisana was a slave.
Yeah.
She escaped
Right.
after killing her master. Max had the really long name that you thought was stupid.
Yeah, he had the dumbest fucking name.
Maxentarius.
Stupidest fucking name.
He was a recluse for a long time
Right.
because he had been involved in a war and it didn't go well.
He's kind of a dickhead to everybody in town.
Yeah, like you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
I'm nothing but a shining beacon for all people who want to approach me.
That sounded very convincing.
I was once described by my employer as somewhat abrasive.
Yeah.
And that is the understatement of the fucking century. I'm a national treasure now.
Okay. So Tisana had to train with Max in order to join the orders.
Yeah.
And then, as part of her deal to help the other slaves in the place where she came from, she signed this contract where she now has this weapon inside of her.
Right.
Riche,
That's right.
who also used to be inside of Max,
Yes.
who used Max's body to kill basically his entire family.
Right.
there
and a whole
was-
bunch of people.
Yeah, first in the city of Sarlazai, and then killed Max's whole family. Except
Right.
he's got one older brother who wasn't there when it happened, so his one brother is still alive.
Okay.
We'll hear more about him later.
I was going to say I definitely forgot that, so maybe we haven't
I don't know if
gotten
it's
there
been
yet.
mentioned at this point,
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't remember that at all.
but we will meet him later.
Okay.
When we finished last time, Tisana has the weapon in her now. Zareth,
I'm
who's
the weapon now. Okay.
Zareth, who is the arch commandant of the orders, kind of a douche, has told them that they're going to throw immediately so that they can then come back and fight the civil war for Tisana's contract.
Okay.
Okay,
That's where we're at.
that's where we're at.
Got it. We're all caught up. Look, we basically did a whole hour's worth of podcast in less than 5 minutes. You're welcome.
Okay. So, Samarin is there. Samarin is Max's friend. They've known each other for a long time. They fought in the war together.
Right.
Samarin can heal. That's his magic thing.
Because everybody gets a magic thing because it's a fairy book.
Just barely. Anyway, he heals Tisana. And then later on, Max is asleep. And then Tisana looks out the window. Richer talks to her because Richer is sentient.
Yeah. A talking weapon inside her.
Says Tisana treasures freedom. Fair. No one desires it more than someone who has never had it. Also,
Because she was a slave.
Yeah,
What
fair.
with the slave in it all?
yeah. Tisana then asks Richer what it was, and Richer says it doesn't remember.
Okay. It's weird to have a sentient weapon inside a person.
Yes.
Can we just address that?
Yeah. It is weird, but it'll make sense later.
Okay.
Not in this book.
Great. So we're not actually going to get there today.
No.
It's going to continue to not make sense today.
Yep. And then Richer says they will make each other whole. And this is when Richer calls Tisana the daughter of no worlds. Yay,
Hence the title
of the book.
We got it.
Richer then threatens Tisana and says if Tisana tries to regain control again, Richer will open Max's throat and lick his blood from her fingers.
Cool. A little graphic.
Yeah.
A little over the top. She really doesn't like him, huh?
Well, because Max killed his whole family, and then we find more about it later, but then insisted on having Richer removed from him.
I was going to say, do we know how that separation happened?
We'll hear about it later.
Okay.
Yeah, but and Richer thought they were destined for each other, and so Richer sees it as a big betrayal.
She's a real clingy bitch, is what I'm gathering.
Yes. They get on a boat at dawn. Zareth and Nura come with them. Nura's his second in command, also Max's ex.
Okay.
And then
So he's kind of got two X's involved if you count the weapon.
kind of, yeah. And then two Sirizen, which are the guards that have had their eyes removed.
Cool. Those people they're something else.
Yeah.
That's something out of a horror movie.
Tisana climbs out of her bed and almost steps on Max because he's sleeping on the floor. And then he
Like a bum?
he says, I'm not made for having anything other than solid ground beneath my feet.
Okay.
So I'm not
Why
made for this.
Why is he always talking all cryptic?
It's not cryptic. He's from another fucking planet, basically.
Whatever.
Calm down. Tell me you didn't understand what he was saying.
It's still... It's an unnecessary way to say it.
You're unnecessary.
Your butt's unnecessary.
So
Actually, your butt's quite necessary. I need that butt. Let me
Oh.
touch it. All right.
she lays next to him and says he shouldn't have come back. He should have told her what happened with Richer, and then he says he couldn't. And then she's like, okay, well then tell me now. So this is when we find out.
Oh, so it didn't take long.
He says he had it for about 6 months. He was captain in the military. He was in the running to be arch-commandant, which is what Zareth is now. So, the ruler of the orders.
Top dog.
He agreed because he wanted power. He says Richer is possessive and vindictive, which we've already put that together.
Right.
Only a few people know about Richer. After Sarlazai, there were trials to see if he would be charged with war crimes. Nura testified on his behalf. Richer was removed, and he was bound to silence with a blood pact. So that's why he was literally unable to tell her about it before. And then,
And now that's expired. Now he's allowed to tell her?
well, because she knows now.
Okay.
So there must have been some wording about, you can't tell anybody who doesn't already know.
Right.
And then it's Max's point of view. They'll be at Threll in a week. Tisana is asleep, so he goes to stand on the deck. Nura comes up behind him. They spar and argue.
Because it's his ex, so they're going to do that.
Yeah. She finds the spot where Richer / Tisana burnt him. So there was a brief moment before we ended last time where Richer took over Tisana and hurt Max. And he thought it was a burn. In the morning, Tisana notices and then has Samarin look at it. But Samarin says it's not a burn. it's dead flesh. So Riche slash Tasana has the ability to touch people and then literally kill their flesh.
Like frostbite.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like whenever you see those people who come back from Mount Everest and their fingers are all black and
It's a lot like that. Yeah.
yeah, don't climb Mount Everest. It's a bad idea, as it turns
No,
out.
people aren't meant to be up there.
That's
as
not
it
where
turns
people.
out.
Actually, there's a whole bunch of people up there didn't make it back because
Yes.
guess what? People don't belong there, and when they go there, they stay there.
They're dead now.
Yes,
Zareth is there and he looks all excited.
he's real into it. Yeah, dead flesh.
Well, he's more about like the potential that Tasana now has to be a weapon.
Right.
Okay.
He's real into that.
Yes.
Getting all hard thinking about it. Killing people.
Probably.
Oh, I'm gonna rip my cock off just thinking about it.
Okay. And then Samron says he's going to have to dig it out. Because he can't. So his magic communicates with flesh and then he heals it and he says, I can't communicate with it. It's dead. Gonna have to dig it out.
Okay, get a shovel. Get to digging.
Okay. Max tells Zareth to leave the room, and Zareth says it's his boat, and he's Arch Commandant. Max says he's always been mouthy, and then he basically calls Max a coward, and then Tasana jumps in and says it's her mission, and the distractions aren't helpful. And Zareth says he's disappointed that Tasana didn't tell him about this power she's got sooner. So then Tasana tells Max that he made that way too easy for Zareth because Zareth was very clearly trying to rile him up. She reminds him that she's bound to the orders, whether he likes it or not. And then she goes to talk to Nura. Nura overheard everything. Says Zareth sees Max as a threat and has to assert his dominance. Zareth sees people as things he can use or threats. There are no other options in his mind.
All right, so he's got a clear worldview at least.
Yes.
He ought to be a politician. You're either something I can use or a threat against me.
He kind of is, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, he'd probably at least get half the votes in this country. So,
Okay. The day before they get to throw, they start to plan. They're going to use stratograms, which are like little magic circle drawings.
yeah, that still doesn't make any sense to me. But okay.
Okay.
That didn't make any sense to me when you talked about it last time. Still doesn't make any sense to me.
So it's like you just take a piece of paper and then you draw. It's always got a circle around it of some kind. The rest of it can vary based on what you need it to do. But the way Max describes it is it's just a way of doing really complicated magic because like you need a conduit for it. So,
So
a
you just draw it on a
stratogram.
piece of paper? It's
Yes.
like a spirograph?
Yeah, you draw like magic symbols on paper and then they
What do
do
you-
magic.
You crumble them up and throw them away. You turn them into origami. Do they just jump off the paper? What happens?
Well, you use it once and then you can't use it again.
That doesn't make any sense.
You don't make any sense.
It's silly.
Tasana's going to rescue her friend Sorel before the violence happens. So Tasana is standing on the ship by herself. She tries to talk to Riche, ends up in one of Riche's nightmares. Riche says it did terrible things and says she needs Riche's help to get revenge. And then Riche likes revenge, so she's like,
It's all on board.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm the weapon.
They end up in Nizarene, where Tasana's from, and then they keep jumping, and they end up near a slaver building. They see two men on horses, and then Tasana sees a little girl tied up. And then she recognizes the man who took her. He's a lot older now, but is definitely the same guy.
He's gonna die.
Yeah. So they start fighting off the slavers. Tasana follows the man she recognized inside the building. She's using Riche's power, so everybody she touches just
Dead.
dead.
Super dead.
Yeah. Riche is demanding more control. More, give me more. The man is hiding behind the stairs. She asks if he remembers her. He doesn't. And it was like, well, this is stupid, and then she just kills him anyway.
Okay. She probably could have been a little more aggressive about it.
She was trying to, she wanted some acknowledgement of what he had done.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh.
And then Riche is kind of like drunk on the power and the bloodlust and everything, and then completely takes over Tasana.
And starts killing everybody.
Yeah,
I like it.
actually. And then it's Max's point of view. He realizes Rashay has taken over and tells Nura to get everyone out of the building. He jumps in front of Tasana, and Rashay tells him to move. And then it's back to Tasana, and she's trying to regain control, but Rashay won't let go. And then Rashay, because Rashay is inside Tasana's subconscious, throws Tasana inside her own subconscious
That doesn't make any
into
sense.
like her worst memories. It's a little complicated.
Yeah, it's a little too internalized.
Well, the point is, Rashay has control and is not letting go.
Right.
Okay, so Max starts fighting with Rashay. Rashay asks why Max is afraid. Samrin comes in at the last second because he can control flesh and forces Tasana down. So he's basically using his magic to like break her legs so she
Okay.
can't do anything anymore. And then Nura says the building is collapsing, so Max carries Tasana out. Tasana has nightmares for hours. She wakes up and Max, Zareth, and Nura are all there. Zareth says she was spectacular with all the murdering.
Gold star.
Gold star murder. She asks if all the slaves are okay. Max says one died in the collapse, but everybody else got out. And then he takes her to see the slaves. Later, she sits against a tree with Max and says the last thing she remembers is opening the door to the building. So, not a whole lot.
Doesn't remember any of the fun killing.
Yeah. Max says Rashay thrives on death. And then he says after his family died, he was drinking and going to brothels and getting high because, like, he had to live with the knowledge that he had basically murdered his family.
Right. And drugs and alcohol made it better.
One night he got in a fight and he was kicked out. He stumbled into an art show and saw a painting that was done while he was in Sarla's eye. He had forgotten that people were content when he was off murdering other people. When you told me why you came to Ara and what you planned to do, I'd just forgotten that people could be that way. That there were people who just wanted to do something good for the world. And then he says he'll follow her if she wants to run away. Burn with her if she goes up in flames. And she's like, no. If I die, you have to keep going. And then she kisses him.
And they do it.
And then they do it.
Of course they do it.
They go to her tent. And then they do it.
Do they get real graphic, or is it just like...
Not really, no.
Okay, that's probably for the best. Some of your books get real porny.
What are you trying to say?
Just saying. They go real over the top.
You're over the top.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So Max leaves her tent, I think the next morning, and runs into Samrin. And Samrin says, tents don't block out much sound.
You've been fucking, and we all heard it.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
He says he's glad they got the inevitable out of the way, because he saw this coming.
Yeah, we all knew you was gonna be fucking.
And that if at least now, if Max dies, he'll die happy. And Max says, fuck you. And then Samrin says he doesn't want leftovers. And then, Tasana's point of view, she's in bed when Rashay starts talking. Rashay knows that Tasana is angry about all the murder. It sees some of Tasana's memories from the night before with Max. And then...
Does Rashay get mad that she missed out on the dicking down?
No, now she thinks that Max and Tasana are conspiring against it.
Stupid.
And then refuses to talk to Tasana again.
Okay. Well, I don't know who else you think you're gonna talk to. You live inside of her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like our 4-year-old throwing a tantrum and running off to her room, and she doesn't want to talk to anybody.
I mean, it is petulant child, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with a murder.
Petulant child with the murder powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she finds Max later and tells him that Rashay knows, and then they're like, oh.
She could smell it.
Okay.
Smelled like a cannery.
What?
Tuna.
Damn it, Justin.
Well, it's old timey, so they probably didn't have a whole lot of feminine hygiene. Probably didn't smell great. Sex was stinky back then.
It's not old timey. It's fantasy. There's They might have plumbing in this world.
Yeah, but do we never? I bet we never once in all of how many books are there?
3.
3. I bet at no point do we talk about anybody pooping.
I don't think so, no.
And that's a serious drop in the ball. And we know the author's listening, so why did we at no point discuss pooping? And whether or not they had indoor plumbing and feminine hygiene products? Ask her when you see her.
Sure.
I'm asking her right now, but there's no conduit for her to get back to me with an answer. So I'm going to need you to ask her when you meet her.
Okay.
Be like, hey, my husband's real concerned about the plumbing situation and where and when people pooped.
How did the plumbing work in Thrill and or Ara?
Also, poop?
Okay.
Does the weapon poop?
Riche?
Yeah, does she poop?
It's just
Or is she just energy?
it's just consciousness with nothing to poop.
So she doesn't poop.
No.
I'm just curious. I got questions that need answers. Most of them are about poop.
I know.
I got a lot of poop questions.
Anyway, a few hours later, Zareth finds Tasana. He says he's going to go back to Ara with the refugees, partly because he can help them translate, and he has business to attend to, quote unquote.
That's never good. Quote
Yeah.
unquote business is never good.
Yeah, she tries to get him to say, because she thinks they need his political power when they go to the estate. He says he wrote to Esmerus' son to let him know they were coming, and that he's going to have a party tonight with the other Threllian lords. So she's like, you know what, fuck it. I can free all the slaves without Zareth's help and without Riche's help. So they get to the party. Max gives his spear to a guard outside the estate because they're not allowed to bring in weapons. There are slaves around them who are helping them. Tasana says they're going to get their weapons back when they need them. Tasana is basically wearing like a really big red robe.
Okay, that's an outfit choice.
It'll be important later.
Okay.
But then they go in the party. They are announced as representatives of the orders. She sees Esmerus' son Azine and then expects him to recognize her because he almost assaulted her once.
Cool.
But no, he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Because she's just a slave girl. Why would he remember?
Right. They all look the same.
Yep.
The slaves, I mean, in the book.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. She sees her friend Sorrel standing by an entrance. The other guards there, they recognize her because they were all slaves together.
Right. And the slaves can tell each other apart. They don't all look the same to them.
Yeah. Azine gives a toast. She drinks her wine, drops the glass on the floor, and then asks Azine if he remembers her. And then she takes off the robe, and she's got one of her old dresses on that she wore all the time on the estate.
One of her old slave dresses.
One of her old slave dresses, yes.
What'd she hang on to that for? Dirty old slave dress.
She might have recreated it, maybe? I don't remember exactly. While Tasana has everyone's attention, Max starts helping get the slaves out of the room. The Sirazine, without the eyes, they can teleport.
Cool. They got no eyes and they can teleport.
Yes.
That probably comes in handy so they don't walk into walls and shit since they can't see anything.
They can teleport because they don't have the eyes.
So if you take out your eyes, you can start teleporting? That might be
this
valiant training.
magical training that they do, part of it is having their eyes removed so that they can sense magic better, kind of. And that's what allows them to teleport.
I mean, I guess that's beneficial so you don't run into shit.
Yes?
Can they teleport? I'm always curious whenever there's like any kind of thing that can teleport. It's like, do you have to be able to see where you're... I mean, obviously they can't because they got no eyes.
Yeah.
Do you just think about where you want to teleport to and then bam, you're there?
Basically, yeah.
But what if where you're trying to teleport to, there's like a bird? You just teleported inside the bird. Does the bird explode? Or does the bird just scoot over? Or do you just teleport immediately next to the bird? Same goes with people. What if you teleport into a person?
Oh, okay.
Does that just explode? Or like, I don't know. I'm always curious about the dynamics of teleportation. Probably overthinking it for something that's not real.
Yeah, I think you are. Also, I'm pretty sure with the Cerazine, it's their connection to the magic that allows them to not teleport into birds and people.
What if they want to, though? That's a pretty foolproof weapon if you want to kill somebody. It's like, I'm going to teleport right inside this motherfucker, and then boom.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Okay.
Teleportation. Get back to me on that, Clarissa.
Carissa.
Whatever.
Damn it, Justin.
Clarissa explains it all?
No.
No? Carissa. I'll forget that next time I address her, since she's listening. God, how funny would it be if she actually did listen to this? Also, if you're an author, why would you listen to a podcast about your book? But, like, just, I'm going to live in the world where you talk to her and tell her about this podcast, and she does go back and listen to it. And she's like, this guy's fucking crazy. I can't believe this is talking about my book.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
For now.
Tasana shows Azine her scars on her back.
Right. From the whipping.
From the whipping. Says Esmerus gave them to her the night she killed him.
He did.
Yeah. Which is convenient because Azine was telling everyone else that, like, Esmerus was murdered by a rival. Azine says a slave whore could not have killed his father. And then...
He must not realize she's a weapon.
Well, actually, Tasana then realizes she's not sensing emotions anymore. And she can't do magic at all anymore. So he must have drugged her with the wine.
Drugs.
And then he slaps her in the face.
Slipped her a Mickey.
Yeah, kind of. He says he drugged all of them to be cautious. Calls her his stolen property. Tells her to perform for them and calls her a whore again. And then he hits her again. The other lords call him uncivilized because you're only supposed to hit your slaves behind closed doors.
Oh, don't slap your slaves in front of the company.
That's uncivilized.
That's not where you hit the help.
He says, do you think the orders can protect you? Do you think they make you any less of a slave? Do you think their power is greater than mine? She says he's never going to be like his father. And then he's like, you forgot your place. I'll remind you. He's going to finish what his father started, so he drags her down a hallway to the room she was whipped in. And then we go back to Max's point of view. He realizes he's been drugged. Also doesn't have magic. Yells at a guard to give him a weapon. Other guards start swinging swords at them. He gets hit in the head and knocked out. And then Tasana, Azine takes her to the office where she got whipped. She tries to offer him money and help from the orders. He says slaves don't get to make bargains.
That's fair. Fair assessment. Slaves do not get to make bargains. He's got a point.
And then he starts whipping her.
Well, you saw that coming.
Yeah. She embraces the pain in the hopes that it'll kind of like kickstart Richey. She's like...
She's still pouting in her room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of works because she gets her magic back and then takes control of him and tells him to let Esmerus know she sent him, and then she kills him.
Okay.
And then Richey takes over. And then Max's point of view, he comes to with his hands tied behind him. Nura says the guards ran off to investigate something. I wonder what that was.
Probably the murders.
Probably the murders. Two other guards come in. Him and Nura take them down. He gets his hands free. And then he helps Samrin. They hear screaming in the distance.
Spoiler alert, murders.
Max runs out of the room and sees that the building is on fire.
Yeah.
But the flames are blue, so it's weird magic fire.
Cool. That's extra hot. White
Yeah.
and blue flames are extra hot.
Yes, they are. Max tells Nura to get everyone out, and then he starts running towards Tasana into the fire. And then it says he opens his second eyelid and turns into fire. So he's got this other magical thing that
He's got a
can do.
bonus eyelid?
Yes.
Was he... What animal has that?
Reptiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a fire snake.
Is he a gecko?
He's this fire snake. It's a real... Yeah, he turns into a snake.
He turns into a snake?
Made of fire.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a weird decision, but alright. He's got no arms. He's a snake.
Well, he can make himself not a snake also. He can go back and forth.
I don't know. I think if I'm going to turn into a different creature, I want to have arms still.
We'll get there. You'll find out how it happened.
All right.
Okay. And then it's Tasana's point of view. She's trying to soothe Riche.
It's her point of view, and she's like, oh my god, a fire snake. What the fuck?
Riche goes back to the ballroom and kills everyone it sees. And then Tasana sees a fire snake. And then it turns into a Max-shaped fire. And then back into Max.
Okay.
He tells Tasana it's time to stop. Riche grabs his face, which is extra fun because Riche has like this death
Yeah, the death.
touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to shovel out his whole face.
So starts rotting his face off.
Cool.
Shoves Tasana all the way back into her own consciousness. And then Max gets away. Riche says that Max abandoned it. So he grabs onto Tasana's body and holds her and tells her to come back because she still has a lot to do. And then he gets really desperate and he kisses her.
With his rotted face.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Tasana is like buried into her own subconscious. She sees visions of her family, and Sorrel and Max, and all of them are dying. And then she sees a memory of Max's sister, explaining that caterpillars dissolve inside cocoons. And somehow that inspires her to like throw herself into Riche's subconscious. So she's basically decided to stop fighting and to just let the magic consume her and see what happens.
Okay. She turns into Mothra.
What?
Well, you said cocoons, and
Okay.
she goes for it. And Mothra was like a larvae, and then went into a cocoon and came out Mothra.
All right.
You're not familiar with Mothra. Probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, pretty much everybody who's listening to this probably not real familiar with Mothra. It's a weird 60s sci-fi movie
I mean,
from Japan.
I've had to watch some monster movies with you, so I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know you in the newer Godzilla movies, Mothra makes an appearance, but it's certainly not the original 1960s Japanese Mothra.
Okay.
A little bit different. Mothra, great movie. Go watch it. Justin's movie reviews.
All right. Tasana sees glimpses of sky and grass, and then she can kind of sense Max. And then she looks up from where she's standing and sees eyes and realizes she's seeing Riche. Tasana pulls Riche into herself, gets fragments of memories, mostly like there's just a white room and then like pain and like what's the other thing? Like grassy fields. Just a couple of quick things. So she gets control of herself again. Max says she scared the shit out of him. And then he draws a stratagem so they can leave. And they pass out on the ground, surrounded by all the freed slaves. So they did it.
Yay!
Yay!
Slaves are free.
Yeah.
Bunch of people dead.
Yep. I mean, at least some of them deserved it, to be fair.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Tasana wakes up later in a bed. Samrin is there, and he says Max is okay, but still unconscious. Says they're still in the estate. The Orders bought it and took over, which is weird.
Okay. We just threw some cash at that problem.
Yeah.
It's ours now.
And then Samrin leaves the room, and her friend Sorrel comes in, and they hug and they cry. And then Max dreams about his youngest sister. He tells her it wasn't him who killed all of them.
Whoopsie daisy.
She says she knows and tells him not to be scared of everything. And then he wakes up, and Tasana is standing over him, and she calls him Mysterious Snake Man. Mysterious Snake Man.
Is his face still rotted? Or did
No.
they just grew back?
I think he's okay now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he calls her Demanding Rot Goddess. So now they have nicknames for each other.
They have cute little pet names.
Yeah. He tells her that when Riche was removed from him, the process literally killed him for a minute, but Riche brought him back and gave him a quote-unquote gift as it was leaving. So Richey left part of its magic in Max so that they would always be together.
Oh. Because she's a real clingy bitch.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why he's Fire Snake Man.
Got it.
Tasana then goes out and runs into Nura. Nura says they need to go back to Ara, and they're going to leave first thing in the morning. And Tasana asks if Zareth sent them to the party knowing Azine was upset with the orders. So it might have been a setup from the beginning.
Yeah.
She's asleep later when she hears Richey. Richey says, "You saw me." Tells her their story isn't complete and calls her daughter of all worlds.
Well, yeah, the story's not complete because it's only part 1 of a 3-part series.
Yes.
So it'd be a pretty shitty 3-part series if she was like, "Hey, our story's done. I guess we'll just release 2 more books with nothing on any of the pages."
Okay.
Thanks for that, author. Carissa.
Carissa.
Got it. Carissa. Hey, how about you write stuff on those last 2 books instead of just empty pages?
They are. She did. Damn it, Justin. Max is standing on the ship and Nura comes up to him. She says she heard about what he did and tells him she wants him to be happy. Max then stands next up to Tasana. She tells him the last time she left Thrall, she thought it would be a miracle if she survived. And then there's an epilogue with Zareth.
Okay.
He's meeting with the queen. She says she's decided fighting blood with blood isn't a good approach. She's also like 12 or 13, if you recall.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. He tells her force is the only way to deal with rebels. She says no and says he'll have to find alternatives. So he goes back to the towers and writes a letter to Nura, and it starts, "By the time you read this, Queen Cesare will be dead."
Okay. So he's going to kill the queen?
No spoilers.
Somebody's going to kill the queen.
Queen is going to be dead.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's going to follow through on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And that's where the book ends.
That's it.
That's it. We did
Okay.
a book.
Did a book. It took 2 episodes, but we did a whole book.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think I rated this one?
Well, I know that you really liked these. Mm-hmm. So this is the first one, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe a 4? Thinking that he probably gets better as it goes along.
They usually do. Because, like, the first ones are when they have to set everything up and give you all the background information.
Yeah. It's a lot of world building and slow starts.
You're a slow start.
Your butt's a slow start. You don't even remember what you gave it. You're going back and trying to figure it
It's
out.
4 stars.
You get it. Oh, see, I was right the whole time.
Yeah. I was pretty sure it was 4 stars, but I just wanted to confirm.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we done with this book?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to dive into something different just for a minute because I think it's well documented on this podcast that I don't read. But I was at Ollie's, which Ollie's, for people who maybe don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a regional thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a regional thing. It's a store.
It's a discount store.
It's a discount store, kind of like what Big Lots used to be before Big Lots changed all of their entire schematics, and now they're going out of business. But Ollie's basically gets a bunch of shit that nobody else could sell, and then they sell it. They have a big book section, which most of the time is a huge miss for you, and you're real disappointed by
because
it.
it's always like the second and third book.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't do me any good.
But anyway, I was looking because I always take a look at the book section, and I stumble across for $4.99 Joe Exotic, the Tiger King official tell-all memoir. Now, I don't think it would be a shock to anybody to find out. I fucking love Joe Exotic and I love Tiger King. And if you don't know who Joe Exotic is and you don't know what Tiger King is, I guess you didn't live through the pandemic because it basically took over all of 2020
Yes.
and was the greatest show of all time.
Okay.
I was a huge, huge fan. Very much enjoyed it. I'm also a single issue voter. Whichever presidential candidate right
God.
now says that they will free Joe Exotic from prison gets my vote. Anyway, I see this book. It's $4.99. You can't go wrong. It's a hardback too. It's hardcover, so it's a good quality book. Real excited about it. So
It's going to take you a month to
it's
read.
going to take me forever to read it. I'm the slowest reader ever.
Which is funny.
I do not comprehend literature in my brain very well.
I just read a 200-page book in a day, and that's because I had to work.
I spent probably an hour and a half on this book, and I made it 27 pages.
Oh my god.
Now, granted,
Oh my God.
I was also in between taking care of our daughter, so I wasn't like fully focused.
Okay.
But at the same, it did take me a while. I don't read fast. I'm aware of this. But we talked about doing a whole episode devoted to this book, and it's going to take me forever to read it, and then it would take me an additional forever to go back
make all
through
the
and try to
notes.
take notes. Also, I don't think anyone wants to listen to an entire podcast of me talking about Joe Exotic. So instead, I'm just going to kind of sprinkle in here and there what I've come through with this book. And I'm 27 pages in at this point. So far, I fucking love it. Because it is written by Joe Exotic in prison. So it's written the way he speaks, which if you've watched the show, he's a crazy hillbilly who curses all the time. So there's lots of motherfuckers and all kinds of shit just sprinkled throughout.
That bitch Carol Baskin.
That bitch Carol Baskins, he definitely says that. There's lots of grammatical errors, and I love it. Because if I'm gonna read a book, I want it to be like someone's telling me a story from their point of view and just speaking like the trash that they are. So it's very entertaining. So far, 27 pages in, when he tells stories that are super impactful and very important moments in his life, he just glosses over it with one sentence. So most of what I've read so far is just talking about his childhood. And he just randomly drops in, oh, my dad used to make me touch his penis in the field while nobody else was around. And then never touches any more on how his dad sexually assaulted him. He also, again, one sentence, says that his brother used to rape him in the bathroom at their house. Also, his dad drowned a bunch of puppies in a bag and made him stand there and watch as he put puppies in a bag and drowned them in a pond. And again, every one of these things is just like one sentence and then he just moves on. Like it's not this crazy impactful part of his life that he just completely ignores.
No, he just wants to talk about that bitch Carol Baskin.
We haven't even gotten to that yet. So far, it is just manic craziness. Every paragraph is a completely new direction. At one point, he's like, oh, and then I became a firefighter when I was 14 years old. And then the next thing he's talking about how he was a paramedic, and then he was a police chief. Most of which I don't even believe.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
And so far in the book, he's only like 21 years old, and he's already done all of these things.
I think you have to be an adult to be a firefighter.
He claims he was a firefighter in Wyoming when he was 14 years old, and he went and fought forest fires. It's bananas. So the book's crazy. Highly recommend it so far. The first 27 pages are a riot.
All right.
That's my take on Joe Exotic, the official tell-all memoir of the Tiger King.
Okay.
That bitch Carol Baskins.
Next time, we're going to talk about Children of Fallen Gods.
And I'm going to talk to Clarissa some more.
Carissa.
Now I'm just doing it because I know you don't like
I'm
it.
going to kill you.
I really hope she listens to this, and then I hope she goes and reads the Tiger King book.
Follow us on Facebook and TikTok.
That's where we're at.
FAE Podcast. Please send help.
Bye!